In this speedy review video, we're going to talk about solving with square roots. So it's going to help you with skill 4D, which is solving with square roots. All right, so in order to cancel out an exponent of 2, so the square exponent, we use a square root. So square roots and square roots are opposites. They cancel out, and I just get x. All right, the strategy for solving a square root, the first thing I do is get the thing squared, and sometimes it's more than just x. All right, but whatever thing's being squared, I get it completely by itself on one side of the equal sign. All right, don't do square roots until it's by itself, and then you take the square roots of both sides of the equation, and don't forget your plus or minus. So an x squared equals 49. My x squared's already by itself, so I already did kind of that first step, and now I can just take the square root of both sides. The square root and the squared cancel out. Square root of 49 is 7, and every time you take the square root, don't forget that plus or minus. All right, so x equals plus or minus 7 is the final answer. In this example, I had this thing being squared, or this thing in parentheses being squared, but I need to get that by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 18 to the other side. Right, the thing being squared still has something next to it, so I got to get rid of that 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. All right, that turns that into a 9. But now the thing being squared, this whole thing being squared is by itself, so now I can use my square roots. And the squared and the square are going to cancel. And again, every single time I use that square root step, I had to do a plus or minus in the next step. I still need to get x by itself, so I need to move this 4 over. And notice I didn't combine this to be 7, because right now I don't know if this is positive or negative 3. But we get two different answers, because I get 4 plus 3 is 7, 4 minus 3 is 1. All right, in this example, same thing. When I get this thing being squared by itself, so I subtract 12. Need to get rid of this 3, so I divide by 3. And now I get the thing being squared by itself, so I take the square root. These are going to cancel, and I get the square root of negative 4. But the square root of negative 4 we talked about in the domain video doesn't make sense, so we just get no solution because you can't take the square root of a negative. All right, so that's a quick review of how to do this skill of solving equations with a square root.